Good evening and welcome to Sunday Politics on Trust TV. I'm Ilyasu Gadu. Tonight, we turn the spotlight on Nigeria's democracy and the widening gaps in governance. Gaps, many say, are taking a toll on citizens' lives. From insecurity to economic hardship, and from weak institutions to political discontent, questions are growing about whether the government is meeting its basic responsibilities. In the studio is Dr. Usman Bugaje, former member of the House of Representatives. He will help us unpack what these governance deficits mean for stability, accountability, and public trust in leadership. This is Sunday Politics, where we go beyond the headlines to make sense of Nigeria's political realities. You're very welcome, sir, to the studio.
My great pleasure.
I want to say that we're honored to have you here today as the first guest on this repackaged program. You're welcome, sir. What can you say about that to us?
My pleasure.
Thank you very much.
I'm happy to be the first.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Well, you're here, and it's good to have you because we have quite a number of things to unpack today. Of course, you are, I would say, a very eminent personality, somebody who has been in the business of politics, public affairs, and you are an economist too, so you are actually the man to do the job for this evening's discussions. So let's get straight to the point. Deficits in the governance.
I'm still in Almajiri. Over and above whatever else you say.
Okay, that's good. That's good to know. You're welcome.
Thank you.
So, as you can see, we are talking about the deficit in governance. You notice that over the past few weeks, some events are taking place almost in quick succession. There is the coup rumor, afterwards the changing of the service chiefs. Before then, there were demonstrations, and much before them too, there was the issue of the pardon. So all of these things, are coming together in a kind of succession. So what can you say about those things?
Lots of things, and I don't know. You see, let's set up a framework for discussing these matters. We as citizens, and especially those who have had occasion to be in government, and therefore to have beyond the ordinary knowledge of how government should be run, we feel very worried. And so our contribution as citizens is to help those in government understand that there are problems that they need to address. Those who are with them in government are not likely to tell them the truth, because the truth is very bitter too often, it's painful, and they risk either losing their jobs or losing the favor of those in government. It's part of our duty as citizens, and part of your responsibility as the media, to create opportunities where citizens can speak to those in government, and they can, express their own understanding, their own views. It's healthy for democracy. It's important that they understand what we are going to say or what we discuss, not me alone, a number of people who comment on day-to-day happenings in government. The basic idea is to see, to tell them what they may not hear from their hangers-on or their appointees, but to tell them things they can check and confirm if they wish to, that will help them improve on the quality of governance.
But do you have a sense that these opinions you express have been taken on board by the government? Because you say that...
Well, there are two things there. Whether they are taken into consideration or not, we have a responsibility to say so. Let the records be there, that they've been spoken to, and many people have told them this kind of thing. Two, if they should ignore what is being said, it's at their own peril. It's their responsibility, and there will be consequences. So let's come back now to the many issues. There was the list of pardon of people. What to me came out very clearly, that the government is either sleeping or they they don't, there was no rigor, there was no consultation. So they are running a government without rigor, without consultation, without getting the experts, to look at what they are doing. And therefore they have come back with what has turned out to be a mess. And it was such a big mess. I don't know what they are doing now. They said they were going to review. I've not yet seen what review they have made. We have not seen the process of review. But I mean, it was very sad that people who are very dangerous to society, who have gone through the process of litigation and courts of competent jurisdiction have taken a decision on them. I mean, especially the fact that nearly 40%, which is the highest, are all drug-related crimes. I mean, it speaks to the soft spot that these kind of people may have in the current administration. And it goes to link up with the suspicions and claims that those in government, many of them, are actually into drugs. So this kind of, you can't help this kind of connection with the kind of thing that you have seen. And in fact, they have they apparently did not consult any records. I mean, people like Herbert Macaulay, I mean, it came as a very strange thing. I mean, this is a great nationalist figure. You can't lump him with this. And the crime they claim to is a crime to a colonial administration. He's a hero of independence. And therefore you cannot. So I really, I mean, it's one of the symptoms of incompetence in government that we can do this kind of mess.
But the government says it's exercising authority on the altar of prerogative of mercy.
There is prerogative of mercy, but you cannot, under that cover, commit such mess. You're supposed to go, there are certain processes, there are certain procedures, there are practices before you that you should check and see how these things are done. But certainly it came as a blow to many institutions, especially the NDLA, even the EFCC and all other institutions, because they have done a thorough job of what they have done, and then you simply come and the basis really are not there. I mean, and you can see the moment the whole society rose against that mess, you can see they chicken out, and they were fumbling and trying to see how they can get out, which means that they did not do a thorough job.
But do you agree that, as people have said, that this has to do with politics, and that the politics of 2027, and that the government is trying to curry favor? I think it's
beyond that. I think it's beyond that. How does, taking 40% of drug-related criminals out really help your politics? How? So I mean, this is beyond politics. There is something sinister about this particular thing.
Can you give us an idea of what I mean? If we say it's beyond politics, perhaps. Then
what I mean is that, okay, how do drugs, unless of course you want to get them with their cartel involved in the rigging that you are planning in 2027, because I've been in politics. I'm still in politics.
You are still in politics,
right?
Yes. We have not. We really have not sent you off.
But I've always insisted that I'm in politics. I'm not a politician. Now, many find difficulty in understanding that. It's simple. Politicians come with a particular, if you like, characteristics. They tell lies, they steal, they do all the other things, I mean, the moment you say this is politics, it means there is some element of deceit in what you're saying.
Chicanery, sort of.
Exactly. So I don't want to be associated with that. In fact, it is that same thing that actually made some of us to get into politics, because we realized that allowing crooks, to get into politics and to do the kind of thing they do is the fastest way to destroy a nation. So we decided to get in there so that we can create an opportunity for our country to really get the kind of good governance. We didn't get the opportunities we were looking for, but what little we had, we made the best use of them.
Okay,
so coming back to this issue, because there are a lot of issues on the agenda.
Exactly, yeah.
If you really want us to tackle all the other issues, then we will not have time for details. But I think it's sufficient to say that there are lots of problems with that, and that means government has not done a thorough job, which also implies that government has not the capacity to do a thorough job, which means that this government is not made of competent people. It is made of people who are incompetent, and the consequences on our economy, like we have seen, on our security, like we have seen, on so many other things, is going to continue. Now, if they really want to sell themselves properly well, they have to change immediately. They don't have much time. But I don't even see that that desire, that preparedness to change. Because what I see is arrogance in governance.
So talking about incompetence, which you've laid against the government, the administration, in the past 1 week or so, there have been rumors, unsubstantiated rumors of a coup attempt. And then afterwards, we see a lot of changes taking place within the security architecture. And people are saying, are even hinting that more and more changes are bound to happen. What do you really see? What's going on? What's going on?
If the government itself, and especially the armed forces, said that there was no coup attempt, it was a rumor, I would rather we grant them that it's a rumor, because I don't have any evidence otherwise. But the issue is not so much the rumor that relates to politics. And this is something that I thought you would have talked about or even brought evidences, because the social media was full of jubilation. I mean, I've read, I've seen, I've listened to many
jubilation
clips.
About what, sir?
They wish the coup had succeeded. Well, it's all over. Now that point, I think, is the point which the government should be interested. If citizens are happy that such attempt, it means that they are not delivering. And that is the lesson to be learned. It's okay for them to make their changes. This is entirely a military issue. I don't want to get into it. I'm not part of it. But the point is, if there are even a section of citizens that have, through social media, expressed delight, now that means that this government is not delivering. And that is the news. And it's for them now to walk back and say, hey, wait a minute. What is it that we have done wrong? What is it that we can do from now to 2027? Because this is why they are there. Remember, they have sworn to the Constitution. And the Constitution of this country and the Constitution of many countries have made it very clear. The governments are there primarily to provide for the security and welfare of citizens. And the concept of social contract, on which modern nation states are predicated upon, is the fact that citizens have surrendered their freedom. They have surrendered to government so that government can provide, these things. Citizens pay taxes so the government can provide security and welfare.
So what?
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Just one moment. Now, if you have a contract, right, where this, you have two parties, people in government and citizens. Citizens have agreed to defer to government, right? To obey the legitimate, rules of the government, to obey the courts, right? To pay taxes, to do all the things the citizens are expected to do. Government is expected to provide certain things.
So in this case,
as a response to that, as part of their responsibility, is a kind of reciprocal arrangement. Now, therefore, if government is not providing security, if government is not providing welfare, if government is not taking care of the needs of citizens, that government has lost the right to be there.
But people will say you are saying this because you are in the opposition. You are not with the government. And that you are talking as from the point of view of somebody who is...
Well, let me tell you that at the moment I have no political party.
Yeah.
Right? Therefore, I'm not in opposition. I've not joined the coalition. I'm not in ADC.
Several of the people who are close to you politically are, in the opposition.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
but I even have my friends in government. So if you like, I can show you my friends in government. But look, at my age, with the experience I have, I won't be just talking, because I am not looking for a job. I'm not looking for appointment. Governments before then have given me that opportunity. I declined. Not once, not twice, not 3 times. And therefore, so it's not that I'm any interested in this. My interest is to make sure that my country works. And the fact of the matter is that Nigeria today is not working.
So if
the demonstrations you talked about, and before then, the end bad governance that they should have started. From there, young people are frustrated. They are frustrated because there are no jobs. And if you look at the statistics, I mean, the indices of development. You look at the infant and maternal mortality rates. You look at the what do you call it? The GDPs, the economic indices. Wait a minute. You find that the GDP has actually dropped to a point, which is less than half of what it was in 1960. The real value. People are in real trouble in terms of poverty, in terms of, and how many people are out of school? How many people are roaming about after 6-7 years after graduation? There are no jobs.
Yeah, but okay, I also seem to know that you are an economist. You have quite a thorough grounding on economics.
I can tell you.
Yeah, okay, let me just make this point. Mm-hmm. There is a kind of criticism of the economic policy of this of this administration, to the effect that it doesn't align with the classical economic paradigm of supply side economics, where of course you reduce taxes to the top end people, and then it's also said it's not part of the demand side economics of spending, creating demands.
My reading is that this government has no economic policy. They have no foreign policy. I'm not sure there is any policy, even security. I cannot see it. If they have it, let them put it out for us to read and to digest.
You believe so?
Where is it?
No, but so for instance, this there was a statement just recently that the naira has appreciated against the dollar, and the GDP, as you criticize it, but the government functionaries say it has gone up, and we are, and then the president himself said it. No, it's not a laughing matter, sir.
No, the
president himself said it, that we are turning the corner, and he was corroborated by the vice president that, look, the hard times are over.
These are people in government. They are all talking propaganda. Go to the people. The test of the pudding is in the eating. Go and talk to ordinary people. What has improved in their lives? You are just quoting figures. What does it mean to the ordinary fish farmer, or the rice farmer, or even the fish seller in the market? I mean, the woman who is trying to eke a living to send her child to school. I mean, how many orphans have we generated because of the insecurity? Look at the displaced community. Who cares about them? Who knows about them? Who even cares to give you the correct statistics of people who have been displaced? What arrangements have been made? People who have graduated, where are the jobs? What do you want them to do?
Yeah, talking about insecurity, which you just mentioned, you are from Katsina State, which is one of the most ravaged. In fact, you can say that it's comparing with Zamfara State in terms of insecurity. Mm-hmm. You have towns like Batsari, Malumfashi, Musa, Entumaki, Safana, Kankara. All this, there are lots of local governments that have been given up to bandits and kidnappers and all kinds of criminal people. Now, and we see a charade or a kind of ceremonies where bandits are coming out. How does it make you? What do you feel as a Katsina man, a prominent Katsina man?
If we go deep into the details, it will be how do I?
Well, let's have it. Nigerians are
okay. Look, for example, I mean, let's talk about Katsina. One time, we made an assessment, even before things got really worse. How much has been paid as ransom to bandits? We did an analysis. The amount that has been paid by poor people to bandits was going in hundreds of billions. And I think your own paper, some times back, quoted as statistics of the billions that have been. What does that mean? It means that the rural community have been impoverished. Some of them have sold their farms. So when they come out, there is no farm, there is no food to eat, there is no job. If they are trading, they have lost their capital. And there is no arrangement by any government that I know, whether local or state or federal, to address the needs of these people. They are just left on the streets.
But the Governor Diko Rada.
Wait a minute.
Go ahead.
Recently, if you have been, noticing or reading, we got a security committee that has been working all along under the Network for Justice in Katsina, that has been collecting data, information, and intervening and training local, what you might call local vigilante groups, with the support and cooperation of the police and the army and the DSS, so that we don't, allow it to get out of hand, right? Even as such, when there was this upsurge, the recent upsurge, and the communities were pressured to do some kind of what you might call reconciliation or some kind of peace, with the bandits, which is actually not a peace, because you can see the two sides that are signing are not on equal footing, right? These people come with their guns and ready to face, any security agents, and they basically dictate the terms. And this bandits, as you have, I'm talking about Katsina, after they would have sort of gone into some kind of agreement, they had no other place also to continue reaping the money they are doing. So they started getting into local government that previously had no banditry attacks, like Kankia, for example. They were in Kankia in daylight. They closed the roads. They took what they wanted to take, meaning that, okay, we have got certain agreement with these people temporarily, but that agreement itself, like many people have written, is a surrender. Basically, these people are surrendering. But
let me take you on this.
They are surrendering, and government is watching. And government is basically saying that they have lost the capacity to protect their land. And let me take you back. The modern nation state, this idea of Nigeria, right? Britain, right? Russia, Romania, Niger, whatever country that exists and has membership in the United Nations, that idea was started in 1648. The Westphalia Agreement, after a lot of wars in Europe. That was how the nation state was started. And three things scholars, have agreed are essential for a nation to claim its sovereignty. One, security of its own land. They even call it a hold onto your land. That's one. Two, sufficient food for your population. Three, guarantee of pharmaceutical and medical supplies in your nation. Now, in all these three, you can say Nigeria, as it stands today, is not quite there. How much of the land are they really controlling?
No, but
the area that Turji is, for example, including all these, are part of Nigerian territory that no security agency can go. It doesn't belong to him. In Boko Haram, up till today, there are parts of Nigeria that they call the Daula. If you are going to go into from Maiduguri to go into the area of Boko Haram, you have to own, if you want to go and come out, you have to own a kind of identity card, like some kind of visa. These are ordinary people talking.
But isn't this ironic? Let me make this point.
The security people operative, those who really manage the theater of conflict, they know all this. They know these things. But somehow, I don't know why, I think there is no political will to deal with this matter. If there is a political will, there are ways you can deal with this. But I think, politicians, people in holding government offices have found, plus civil servants and so many other people on the line, have found this as a way of making huge amount of money. And they don't want this thing to stop. And of course, politicians have found it also a way of rigging elections and winning. This is why these things are
But let me, I want to make this point because it's very important. It's ironic, isn't it, that Katsina State produced 2 Nigerian presidents. And within Katsina State, there's almost like an embarrassment of riches in terms of people who have held very important positions in Nigeria. Security men, ambassadors, I know, because I know quite a lot about Katsina. And then this is happening, where you have all these, very, very important personalities who have a information and expertise on how to solve this. Yet Katsina today has become the metaphor. People around the country keep saying, look, go to Katsina State is where they're settling.
First, at an ordinary level, I can tell you, Yaradua was sick for most of the time. May God forgive him. Buhari was incompetent. May God forgive him. They, could not do anything. But that, for me, is coming to the issue of leadership. We don't have criteria for leadership. This idea that I come from this particular town, or I come from this particular part of the country, and because of that, I want to, to lead, or I want to be, is the most stupid idea I found in our politics. How does that help you? What we need is not where you come from. What we need is what you can deliver. What is your competence? I have said it severally, that I am no longer impressed about whether we have a northerner or a southerner or a Yoruba or an Igbo or a Hausa or a Fulani. No, we have tried it and it has not worked. What we are looking for is a competent Nigerian who has character, who has competence, and who has the courage to do the right thing, who has the courage of conviction. This is what we are looking for, and this is why we are going down the drain.
So, but somebody who has been in the National Assembly, and during the, I think the first, term, or rather, first republic, the National Assembly of, after this...
I was there 2023, 2027.
And the National Assembly we have now. If you are to do a comparison of how it looked in those days of Galina Abba and yourself and what we have today, what can you say in terms of the governance approach?
Our politics have degenerated. I mean, our policy has degenerated because at the moment, people who get to be elected, most of them, not all, most of them are people who are incompetent in the first place. And the motive of going into politics for many of them is money. And we can see how they've been bought off. They are many of them are a disgrace to this country. Okay. Look at when the president walked in. They are supposed to be an arm of government, the only arm of government that can actually check the executive arm. And they stood up that on your mandate we said, how can you imagine a legislator, conceding
Dr. Bugaje, I think we'll have to hold it there for the moment because we're on a break.
But this is a very important point.
Yes, we'll get back to it
because it's actually the roots of our problems. The root of our problem is that we don't have leadership. In all the problems of this country...
we really have to call for a break now, and we'll resume after this timeout. Don't touch that dial. We're going to come back after this short break. Thank you very much, viewers. Yeah, welcome back. Before we went on break, we were talking about leadership deficits and the way and how it has affected and impacted our governance system in the country. Okay, let's now agree, yes, that we have a deficit in governance and leadership is one of the key issues that we have to address. How do we get to solve this problem? Because everybody agrees that this is a problem, but how do we bail the cat?
Well, I don't claim myself alone to have all the solutions, but I can tell you my solution. And I'm doing this because I have spent quite a lot of time discussing this issue, not only in Nigeria, in other parts of Africa, at international level. For me, in the Nigerian context, the first thing we need to do is to agree on a criteria for leadership. At the moment, I insist, we don't have a criteria for leadership. What we have in the Constitution, as for the educational qualification, which is, I think, secondary school and age and these, they are not criteria for leadership. They are criteria for eligibility, that you are eligible. But that doesn't qualify you. What qualifies you? The criteria for suitability.
So who should actually put the criteria for us to be able to follow?
Those who are voting. They are the ones who decide.
You believe that the voters who are
supposed to be organized either by their political parties or by the civil society or by community leaders.
But do you sense
faith-based organizations?
But do you sense that is happening in the country now?
No, we can do it. I'm saying we can do it.
How? Put us through.
If we have a political party that decides that they are going to put a criteria for leadership, they don't even have to change their I mean, you don't have to have a constitutional amendment. Within what obtains here in the Constitution, within the existing electoral law, they can say, because electoral law allows them to do primaries through 3 different ways, either direct or indirect or through consensus. So they can modify, under this law, they can modify their own processes of primaries by, for example, saying that any person who is going to contest for the post of a legislator in our party must come with criteria 1, 2, 3. They can say so. No law stops them from doing that. All they need is to do a convention and insert that in their constitution. INEC will recognize that this particular party has set this particular standard, and these are the standards INEC will be looking for as being met at the primaries, where INEC staff are supposed to be there to give a report.
But in a situation...
Now you are starting from there. So by the time you do that, if you, for example, say that we need 3 criteria for you to become a governor, for example, or a governor or a president or any chief executive, right? What is that? We need character. We need competence. We need courage. If you just take these 3, a lot of these people who are in the government today, I mean, different states, and it doesn't matter, and I'm not talking about parties now, all the parties now, a lot of them, 70-80% of them will be dropped because they lack character, they lack competence, and they lack that courage of conviction. So if you set this standard, you may not be perfect the first time, but if you set the standard to maybe reduce incompetent people by 20, 30, 40%, that's a big achievement. And so from there, you can now set standards for good governance. As a party, anybody who is elected on our platform, we will insist that if he's a governor, this is the program he's going to do, right? And we will supervise him. And that's what political parties are for, really.
But people are saying...
At the moment, they've become just cartel for collecting bribes and collecting money from people who have stolen. Because if you, and I want you, Ilyasu, to try this. Go to any party at your local level and say, I want to contest for the local government chair, next election, 2027, or whatever time the local government elections is holding. Or I want to contest for Senate, right? The first question, I guarantee you, that they will ask you is that, do you have money?
I can tell you, I faced that situation.
Oh, very good, very good. So if money has become the deciding factor, is anybody in his senses? I mean, how can anybody in his senses be surprised as to what is happening in this country today? Everybody is looking for money.
But then the question, I mean,
people who are appointed, many of them, and I say many, not all, I say many. Many of them are just looking for opportunities to steal. Many of them are just grabbing and stealing, and there are so many pretexts.
But the counter argument to that, Dr. Bugaje, is that, look, some people are saying, why are we in a hurry? Some of these developed democracies that we are trying to emulate didn't, get there, within the time that Nigerians are saying we must die. For instance, let me give you an example. In Britain, 1215, Magna Carta. In America, it took a long time before the political system was sanitized. They went through all kinds of, revolutions, all kinds of reforms and all that before they perfected it. And people are saying, how long is our democracy anyway? We are just,
Thank you very much for raising that, Ilyasu. My first comment is that argument that you find among elite is a colonial argument. It is a confirmation of a colonized mind, because we are looking at America and Europe, Britain, as the ultimate in wisdom and perfection. Read their history. Africa has produced far better leaders. Africa has done far better in history than these people.
Isn't that subjective?
It's not subjective. The records are there. The records are there.
Okay, let's have the records then.
Okay, in 2011, the African Roman Empire, Severus, was the one who was invited by England to protect it from the banditry of the barbarians from the Caledonian tribe. He went there, he supported them, and Severus died in York. It's part of their history. When King Henry VIII, who is the father of Elizabeth I, decided to request the Pope, to allow him to marry another wife, which with a lot of difficulty, the Pope granted. He came back to the Pope with another request, and the Pope refused. And he decided to get out of the Roman Catholic Church. He started the Anglican Church, right? But he was excommunicated by the Holy Roman Empire at that time. This is the 16th century, right?
Yeah.
And how did he survive? 2 countries came to him, and they were critical in the survival of England at that time. It was Morocco and the Ottoman Empire. Check the records.
Yeah.
This was the time of Shakespeare. There were a lot of gifts between Morocco and the Queen Elizabeth I. You see a lot of the paintings in British archives. You go to the museum in London, you see a lot of these things. It's in their records. When America declared independence in 1776, that's the Declaration of American Independence crafted by Thomas Jefferson. What country, the first country that recognized America, which was what gave that declaration its life, was Morocco. Until recently, no Moroccan, needs visa to go to the United States as a measure of that. So I can go on and on and on. I can give you a dozen incidences. It's just that we don't read our history, where we don't know the history of Europe. If we know the history of Europe and America and all these countries that we now look as great, we will take them for what they are, not for what their propaganda has shown. We in Africa, we have got records of better governance. We had kingdoms that were better managed. We have resources.
Let me take you on this.
No, I want us to emphasize that this colonial mentality in Nigerian elite, who have gone to Western schools, and they have not read the West properly well. Because if you read the West properly well, after all, democracy is in crisis today. In fact, if democracy will produce people like Trump, it's enough evidence that democracy is in crisis. He's not the best of Americans. Look at Sanders. Look at Jeffrey Chase. Look at a number of very good, excellent people who could have led America. So democracy is faulty. It will keep bringing the wrong people. They will destroy our countries. We go into conflict and war, and everybody will suffer.
I hope we don't get to that.
So what I'm saying, and even General Obasanjo, in the last Jonathan's Foundation conference in Accra, if you have followed, made this statement, not for the first time, for a number of times, that we Africans, we should come up and modify our democracy. We should be able to bring in and something that will flow and be in harmony with the African values. And African values are much higher than the present British values. Look, a lot of what we call Western, which we got through the Europeans, were brought by godless Europeans. These people who ran the colonial were not good Christians. Even Christian missionaries had trouble under them.
Okay.
Check the record.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is that I don't want this idea that, oh, America is doing, oh, Britain is doing, oh, France. They are not my models. As an African, they are not my models. I have better models. I've read them, I know them for what they are, and I don't see anything. That does not stop me from taking science and technology, because the science and technology that they are proud of was actually brought to them, by Muslim scholars. The records are there.
Yeah, okay, there's something I also want to get your perspectives on. Let the viewers and Nigerians at large get to know about it. Which is the recent claims of genocide on Christians in Nigeria? And that, this has even taken us to the point where a senator in America is even, presenting a bill that would make consider Nigeria a country of particular concern. The senator is Ted Cruz of Texas, and he seems to have,
There are two things there. And this statement is not the first time. If you have read the article of Professor Ibrahim Jibrin, which is in the column of the Daily Trust, you would see that in 2017, Professor Jibo, myself and a few of our colleagues were in the congressional hearing where this kind of stupidity was presented to the American Congress. And we debated it there, and we showed them these are false claims. Muslims, Christians are all victims of the crisis that is taking place in Nigeria. And that matter was dead from there. But now you can see it has been resurrected. 7 years before 2017, there was a similar attempt. So this is a fairly consistent thing. Someone somewhere wants to create problems between Muslims and Christians in this country. Yeah,
but then, you can't fault the fact that, the government of Nigeria, of successive governments, have opened the door for such things by they're not addressing the issues.
Fair enough. But I'm telling you, it's not a new thing. And essentially, it's an alibi that some people want to create for doing something in Nigeria.
So what do you think that is? Give us your perspective on that. Let us really hit the nail on the head.
Have you been to Congo Kinshasa?
One day you'll take me there, sir.
I think
I've been in the foreign service, but I've not been able.
There are Western countries that want to turn Nigeria into Congo. Congo is the richest country in the world from all the evaluations and assessment at the moment. They have nearly 70% of the cobalt in the world. They have nickel, they have uranium, they have what is called rhodium. You know this container? Half the container of rhodium is selling at $1.9 billion US. When M23 invaded Goma about 3-4 months back, Rwanda was being accused of having a hand in the matter. Eventually, what happened? American representative came to Kinshasa. They said they are going to intervene to stop this conflict on the condition that they will be given the first right of what they call it,
right of
right of refusal or something like that. That they'll be given priority. It's only what they don't need that will go to in terms of the minerals in that.
We see that happen in Ukraine too.
Right. So these people are interested. And if I don't know if time allows us, and maybe we are diverting, but look, in 2020, in 2050, there's going to be a world water crisis. And in this world water crisis, Africa will be the only continent with sufficient water to feed the world. There is one African country which has 10 times the body of water than the one in Lake Michigan. The bodies of water that are huge and large in the world is Explorer in Canada, Michigan in US, another one in southern Liberia, and another one in Euphrates. Now, these bodies of water are already going to go down, and by 2050 there'll be a world water crisis. Africa will be the major source of fresh water to drink. And there are already plans. So part of the crisis that are being created, because they know what we have more than we know what we have. Their satellites can do seismic service, and they can establish exactly how much minerals and body of water. You may not even know. You just find it in crisis in your back door.
We don't have enough time to go into this very interesting.
I'm sorry,
but then
diverted from our issue.
Yeah, well, it's part of the.
But we are living in that kind of context.
So what I want to say, having discussed all these things, and it's quite germane to our existence as a people. Can you just give us, perspective, a comprehensive perspective within the short time we have, on how we can navigate through this governance issues, and how we can select the kind of leadership, especially bearing in mind that these issues you're talking about of a takeover of Africa and Nigeria especially.
Okay. Yeah, I think the first thing that we need, and it's something which is not really difficult, but somehow we have been sleeping over it. You see, the elite of this country, the civil society, the faith leaders, community-based, need to come together and have a consensus as to what kind of country we want. What is killing our politics today is that everybody is going into his direction. Everybody wants his own tribesman to be president. I mean, that's very primitive. It's my turn. That concept itself is so primitive and is so damaging to the future of this country. Are we going to be taking turns and destroying this country? Because, somebody from the north has come. He has destroyed this country 8 years. Somebody said, it's my turn to do what? To destroy the country. He's now here destroying this country. Another one wants to come in. What he's going to do? He's going to destroy this country. Are we crazy? The elite of this country have to wake up. And if we are able to have an elite consensus that in 2050, for example, where most of the UN projections and a number of other institutions are going, this is where we want to be. We want to be a country that can feed itself, that can feed China, that can feed this. We want to be the suppliers of this and that. We want to improve on our yield per hectare. We want to process our raw materials so that we'll create jobs for young people. If we agree this is what we want, the next question is, who amongst us, what kind of leadership are we going to now select to do that? You think if all the churches, all the mosques, all the civil society, all the elite, or majority of them are agreed on a vision of a country that are committed to, and we know that these are the kind of leadership that will take us there, and we are all agreed, and we bring them out and we say, you are the people, this is the kind of criteria for leadership we are requiring, and we go to the vote, you think there is any force that will stop this election from succeeding? But because there's not that consensus, we have allowed crooks to take over the country.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Bugaje. It's quite illuminating having you around. It's unfortunate we have to end the discussion here. It's very, very entertaining, very, very informative. And I think our time has been well spent. So this is Sunday Politics. We've come to the end of the program. It's quite revealing. We've had quite a lot of time with Dr. Bugaje, and I think we should thank him for his insights into the whole idea that we have talked about, ideas that we have talked about. So thank you very much for being with us until we get back to another episode of this program. I want to thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for your time.